Hi, this is Miss Karen.
And this is Caroline with the Children's Liturgy for the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time.
So our first reading today is from the book of the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament. And Isaiah is writing at a time that was really scary for God's people. They had had a beautiful, wonderful kingdom, and it had split up, and most of that kingdom was gone. What was left was surrounded on all sides by enemies, and the people that were left had all been scattered. And this is one of those readings where we kind of have to look at what happened before to make sense of what we're hearing now. And if you read what happened before, Isaiah is describing a scene of utter destruction. It's a devastated place. There's no happiness, no cheer. It's chaos, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. It's awful. It's awful. And what we hear today is totally different than that. So Isaiah is describing this banquet with God. And this banquet, it sounds like the Golden Corral on steroids. Not only is there food, but their enemies are gone. And not just gone, but God has vanquished their enemies. Death is gone too. God has vanquished that. And here's the best part. This banquet is not just open for the people of Israel. It is open for everyone. Because God is the God not just of the people in Israel, but of everyone. In the second reading, we hear more from Paul's letter to the Philippians. And we've heard a lot from Paul this summer, and it's important because sometimes we forget who Paul is. And so we know that Paul was a man that used to be named Saul of Tarsus. And Saul hated Christians so much that he decided that they didn't deserve to live. And if you read in the Acts of the Apostles, Saul of Tarsus was actually there when Stephen was stoned to death for following Christ. Then, when Saul was going to Damascus to go persecute Christians, he encounters the risen Jesus on the road, and Jesus is like, Saul, what are you doing? You can't do this anymore. This is not okay.
Killing people's not cool. That's a no-no.
Killing people is a no-no. This is not okay. And Saul converts and he becomes a Christian, and he changes his name to Paul, and he goes all over the world telling people about Jesus and spends a good deal of the rest of his life in jail because of it. And Paul is letting us know all the things that he has done and all the situations that he's lived in. And Paul is saying that Paul, has done all these things, not because he's awesome and all that, but he's done all these things through Christ, who strengthens him.
So for the gospel, it's from Matthew, and it's the parable of the wedding feast. Jesus is talking in parables yet again. It's kind of a thing with him. So in this parable, the prince is getting married. And so it's basically kind of like a big COVID is over hug party. Biggest party ever. You're hugging everybody. You got everything ready. You invited literally everybody, but nobody came. And so you're like, what do? I have everything ready. And if your first instinct is to eat all the food yourself, I understand that. But sharing is caring. So let's go invite everybody. Not just the people you want to invite, but just anybody you see. And the party actually ends up being pretty fun. So the meaning of the parable of the wedding feast is that God has prepared the feast for everybody, but it's up to us to accept it and to go. So your assignment this week is to be thankful for what you have and go out of your way to thank someone else for something that they've done.
So I'm Miss Karen.
And I'm Caroline.
And this is Children's Liturgy, and have a great week.